Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Janice Klima, and so my research project focuses on women, religion, and witchcraft in early New England, especially during the Salem witch trials in 1692. I really became interested with this topic quite some time ago because I'm really big into genealogy, and this is something that I can trace my ancestors to. And so I've always been kind of curious. And really, Salem has often been described as this mass hysteria or irrational fear. And I found that when I began reading the court records and sermons, these events appeared much more structured than the interpretation actually suggests. And so, one of the major historiographical debates surrounding Salem involves the question of causation. Historians like Paul Boyer and Stephen Nessenbaum, they emphasize the local conflict, economic tensions, divisions within Salem. Carol Carlson and Elizabeth Race focus more heavily on gender and why women are disproportionately targeted. And Mary Beth Norton connects the crisis to frontier warfare and political instability in the late 17th century in New England. My argument builds on these different interpretations, but places greater emphasis on religion and the aspect of the framework of the Puritans and why these accusations even have such great meaning. Puritan communities understood disorder through spiritual categories, so they were tied to sin, divine judgment, and the active presence of Satan. Social tension and political instability certainly influenced who became vulnerable to accusation, but they don't fully explain why accusations took the specific form of witchcraft or why those accusations carried authority within the Puritan community. When examining court records, sermons, and confessions, I did notice that there were reoccurring patterns in how people described affliction, how they described guilt, and their spiritual danger. And so these patterns suggested that participants were operating within a shared religious view, and that this worldview wasn't really random or irrational, but it was part of their culture and their experience. I also rely heavily on the primary sources that are available. So there's the Salem Witchcraft Papers, sermons by Dodot Lawson. There are writings by Cotton Mather, Increase Mather, and John Hale. And these sources consistently present witchcraft as a real spiritual threat tied to a communal order and divine authority. Overall, my project argues that belief should not be treated as secondary or social conflict or political fear, but instead belief structured how those tensions were interpreted, how they were acted upon, and looking at Salem through this lens helps explain why accusations appeared coherent and credible to the people involved because it was something within their community. It was something that they were already a part of their worldview as Puritans. And so, even when those accusations appear irrational from a modern perspective, they seem very rational to them. Thank you.